And welcome to the Coast to Coast Pick Five seminar. Georgie, another big weekend coming up here at the Great Race Place, and another Coast to Coast Pick Five, which have been very popular, and of course paying very well each and every weekend.
Yeah, it just keeps breaking records. We got great response from this wager, and I'm always betting it. I'm yet to hit it, but hopefully I'll get lucky one of these days. And the whole weekend in general, we got a fantastic weekend. We're kind of celebrating Valentine's Day this weekend. We got the big game that you could watch and wager on here, and I'm sure that Gino will talk more about the pick'em contest. We got the Corgi Nationals, Winter Nationals on Sunday, the 19th. There's a lot of exciting stuff going on, but today we're going to be concentrating on tomorrow's big coast to coast wager.
Yeah, Gino, you give us the rundown real quick. Just to first mention, first post Saturday, tomorrow the 11th is at 12:30. First post on Sunday is 11 a.m. because of the big game, of course, Gino.
I got my wires crossed. I thought we were going to be talking about Rihanna and the halftime show here, right? Yellow diamonds in the sky. That's what we're going to start off with. We Found Love. That's going to be the first song, the halftime show. You know how much I love that. But we'll have some fun. This weekend's always a really fun gambling weekend because come Sunday, there's so much different props and so many different Super Bowl squares. Everybody's got a little bit of action. Everybody's having fun. But we're going to build a bankroll tomorrow. We're going to hit the Coast to Coast Pick 5. We're going to get involved in those free pick'em contests. Tomorrow on Saturday will be a lot of college basketball games and the Santa Anita Saturday card. Then Sunday will be a lot of the big game. A lot of Chiefs, Eagles props, a lot of stuff involving that game. We have two awesome teams and another really good Pick 5 to talk about this week. So I'm pretty pumped. The next couple days, we'll have a lot of fun watching some really good sporting events.
Yeah, it should be a terrific weekend. Of course, the game, let's hope it lives up to the hype. We got the two best teams going in, and the props should be terrific. We did the pick'em, and one of the questions is, what will be the first song played by Rihanna at halftime? So I'm sure you will cover that later. Let's dive right in, though, gentlemen. Coast to Coast Pick 5 Saturday starts out Gulfstream Race 9, which is a mile and a 16th on the turf. Gino, what are you looking at here?
Yeah, the 3 Sendero got the most brutal trip you will ever see. If you're a trip player, you're probably going to be all over this one. So he has a good start. He has to take back a little bit. He's 3 wide. He settles like 6th or so. He's about 5 lengths off. And then he's moving really well in the inside. He's in a little bit of traffic, but he's traveling well. Then he gets shut off. And then all of a sudden, it looks like the rail opens wide up for him. He shoots through, and as soon as he moves through, it collapses, and he has to go to a complete stop, like stands up right on the horse and just backs all the way up. He ended up finishing 8th. He got put up to 7th via DQ in that race. It was about as bad of a trip as you will see. And prior to that, we're talking about a horse who wasn't beaten a whole lot in stakes races. He was actually a small stakes winner at Colonial when he broke his maiden. He lost to a horse named Ari Gold. Shout out Entourage. He was chasing Lone Speed in that one. Ari Gold's a lone speed horse. So when he catches a field that doesn't have much other pace, it's tough. I think it's a really good spot for Sendero to bounce back in here. He's absolutely going to be one of a few I'm using, along with the kind of a wild card chappie, Palace View. I think I'm going to throw in Palace View, who's making the U.S. debut here. This is a 3-year-old gelding who has raced twice on the synthetic, but his dam won 3 times on the turf. She won 3 of 8 starts on the turf. She has produced 4 other foals that are turf winners. So this horse has a dam that was a multiple winner on the turf. He has 4 winning turf siblings. His career debut misses the break, comes flying late. And then in his second start, he shows a lot more speed. He was sitting like just behind the early leaders. He got a little hole, poked his head through, and then just exploded. It was visually really, really impressive. So 3 and 10 for sure will be on my tickets, and maybe those are horses that won't be the top betting choices.
Well, 3 and 10 there, and like you said, a trip play there on Sendero. And don't anybody worry that Irad Ortiz is off the mount, because Irad Ortiz is at Tampa Bay Downs tomorrow and not at Gulfstream. So that's the reason for that. Georgie, where are you looking here in the ninth at Gulfstream?
I'm worried that Irad Ortiz is not on Sendero.
Isn't it nice how much we listen to each other? You know.
So, Sendero, yeah, Sendero's one of the ones. I mean, I like the inside three runners. And, we saw Pratt start abysmally here at Santa Anita, but he's really started to get it going again. And, you just can't keep good jockeys down. And I feel that's the same thing with Rosario. Rosario, to me, is he's just, if you look at the dictionary on what a jockey should look like, this guy is him. I mean, he's a wonderful jockey. He's in a slump, and I think he can come out of it. He comes into this one with Tumba Roomba, and Tumba Roomba comes in with the best thoroughgraph numbers by far, but they were on the dirt, sprinting. Now he stretches out. He certainly got really good Tomlinson numbers for the turf. I think Tumba Roomba at 6-1 is going to be my top pick, and Webslinger. I mean, Webslinger is he's faced some beasts, earned some of the best thoroughgraph numbers on the grass anyway, and he comes in first time gelding, first time Lasix, first time Castellano, breaks nicely from the rail. So my top two picks are the 2 and the 1, and the 3 because of all the problems he got into. But look, I mean, Skip had problems coming onto the show, but he still is, one of the finest.
So Seminar Skip joining us a little bit later. He had problems with the Wi-Fi. Skipper, we're on the first leg of the Coast to Coast pick 5. Gino was 310, pointing out the brutal trip that the 3 got, and George was as easy as 1, 2, 3. What say you in the first leg here?
This race was very tough, and I apologize for being late. I couldn't do it. Luckily, Janie helped me out, and she got it all figured out. But, anyways, I was going to go deep in here. I'm spreading in this race. My ticket on the Coast to Coast is going to be $280, I figured out. It's a little bit big, but I'm going to single a couple races I like. This is not one of them. I was going to use everybody but the 3 and 9, with the 6 being my best long shot. I really like this horse. I know it's cheap, but it's sharp. That race 2 back at Gulfstream Park, won by a length and a quarter, and won in a pretty good time, 142 and 1. I like that. Then came right back against winners, optional claimers, and won that race nicely too. So they're stepping up. The trainer's having a great meet. That horse is sharp. I think that horse is a great long shot. I think the 4 is going to be very tough to beat. That was a nice race back in December for Christophe Clement. First time Lasix. They didn't bet it that day, which is kind of weird because whenever they like his horses, they usually bet them. But that race was impressive. But I think this is wide open. Like I said, I'm going to spread and use everybody but 3 and 9.
So Skip cooking up a winner for Bobby Flay there with 4. And anybody knows how to pronounce that name, I'll owe you $1.
You don't want me to try to pronounce it. I can promise you that.
I think the S is just sort of silent. I think it's sort of like Bagliato, right? Yeah, I don't think I think it's pretty much like how it looks.
That was a guess, so I don't owe you the $1. But so okay, leg 1, we're kind of all over the place, which is good. That's fine. Gino's 2 deep. Georgie's 1, 2, 3, and Skippy's basically hitting the all button. What about race 3 at Santa Anita? The second leg, George, 6.5 on the turf, not down the hill, from the chute. What are you looking at here?
One of the cool things I think about tomorrow's Coast to Coast is that from first race to last race, it's an hour, a minute less than an hour. So really goes by quickly. It's not spread out through the afternoon. So I like that where, in an hour, you'll know if you hit this or not. I'm only using 2 horses in my I'm using the 4 Southern Horse and Inch. I think Inch, I'm going to give Inch a slight advantage. This one, you got Hall of Famer aboard, Mullins, the ownership. We all love Rockingham Ranch and Gary. So I'm going to give this Inch just the slightest. I'm going to favor him by about an inch over Southern Horse, who's coming off a layoff and going to the Phil D'Amato barn for the first time. And, he's the Sultan of Sod for a reason. But this one's got, he's got class. He's got Hernandez, Sultan of Sod. It's tough to leave him out. So I'm using 4-7.
4-7, Skipper. What are you looking at here in the second leg?
My top pick is the 5, Jet Evader. I like this horse. I know it's coming off a little bit of a break. but it had trouble in that last race, and it got beat by some nice horses there, Cowbreds. The Chosen Brawn, we know how good he is for Eric Crueljack. But 2 back, he won nicely over this course, going 6 furlongs. Then he ran into Brickyard Ride, Brickyard Ride, we know him. He's just a win machine. And Brando the Bartender's won a few races too. So the 5's going to be my top play with Peter Urton and Edwin Maldonado. I'm also going to use the 1 Commander Kai, Breaking from the Rail. This horse has got some speed, or it could sit. It could do both. And Kimura has been riding great, and Mark Latt's having a great meet. So at 6-1, I want to use that one on my ticket. And also the 2 that Georgie said, Southern Horse and Inch. I might throw in Massoud too. This horse, last race ran pretty good for 50. Had a little trouble, but 2 back ran against Notorious, who's very sharp for, I believe it's Phil D'Amato. And then Laneway, that's the Maya racehorse that's been very sharp. So got beat by 2 nice horses, 2 and 3 back. So I'm going to put the 6 on my ticket also.
Yeah, Notorious and Laneway, both stakes horses there. Gino, what are you looking at here? They're covering most of the horses in the leg 2.
Yeah,
you have a solid opinion here?
1-6 for me. The problem is like, if the 5 does what he has done 3 races in a row, the 1's gone. The 5 has gotten off to slow starts now over and over and over. And when that happens more than 1 or 2 or 3 times, it becomes your own fault, right? It's something that you cause a lot of the time. Now, that doesn't mean the 5 can't win. Like Skip said, he sat off the pace a little bit. But if he has a slow start, who else is going to the lead in here? Nobody. Like, there is no other speed. The 3 looks faster on paper than he is, because he comes out of some races at Turf Paradise, and he's actually only been on the lead when they were going longer, like 24 and change. The 1 has legitimate sprint speed. He comes out of that race with our buddy Do It For Andrew, who came back and had a nice race for me last week on Sunday.
You and I both, buddy.
Both of us. So, yeah, that's our buddy. Nonetheless, he actually showed that that's a strong race, right? Even though the horse came back and got beat right on the wire, that was a first level allowance race. And this is a $50,000 claimer. So we're already talking about a softer spot, and the horse that beat him came back and franked that form. I just think it's got to be go time. Send hard from the rail for the 1. Skip was talking about Massoud. Honestly, you look at him, you can really easily talk yourself into him. So he's off from January to November, right? 11 months. He shows back up in November, and it's his first start off the bench. He runs into Laneway and Turn on the Jets. Laneway comes back to win a stakes race most recently. Turn the Jets comes back to win a stakes race right after that. Laneway is also graded stakes placed. Then following that, he cuts back to 5. 5 and 5.5 are a little short for him with his running style, right? He's a stone cold closer. So 5, he just puts him way behind the 8 ball. And that's exactly what happened in his last 2 starts. He's too far back. He runs into Notorious. Notorious comes back to win. And then after winning, Notorious was second in a stakes race behind Laneway, who was also in the running lines there with Massoud. Then most recently, he finishes 4th, going 5.5. Again, 5.5 is just too short for him. He's away last. He's 10 lengths off. He keeps to the inside, and he moves up into 4th. He just needs more ground, and he's going to get that here. He's going to get another furlong. So I think with the 1 and the 6, you get horses sort of on the opposite end of the spectrum here. You have probably the horse right on the lead, and then the horse coming from way, way out of it. Those will be my top 2. Maybe I add in 1 or 2 more. The 4 is kind of scary to leave out, but he's going to be really coming from out of it, and there might not be that much pace in here to run at.
I think what Gino said, and we could touch on here real quick, is it looks like the race kind of goes through the 5 and the break, because you are correct. And Edwin Maldonado, we all consider probably the best gate jockey, 3 times in a row hasn't gotten this horse out of the gate. So if Genovator doesn't break, Commander Kai could be long gone and sweep the leg. Oh, that's Cobra Kai. All right, let's go on to the third leg, a mile maiden special weight on the dirt. Gino, who do you like in here? A lot of first-time starters in here.
This is as cool of a betting race as you'll find, because whatever your opinion is, I think you can feel good about your opinion. Like if you like Arthur's Ride or Case, and you feel like they are a strong horse that's head and shoulders above and you want to key in on them, I really wouldn't talk you off of doing that. But if you wanted to get creative, you can absolutely make a case for Secret Threat, who's a huge price, for Peregrino G to the outside, who's a huge price. That's probably how I'm going to look at this race. I think I'm going to use maybe one or two of the obvious and one or two of the bigger prices. I think Case is the horse to beat. That was a really, really nice debut effort from Case. It was not a smooth start, but he recovered well. He was just behind the leaders. There was not much room. He moved up a wide open rail, but he just got rebuffed. He was just a clear-cut second that day behind a nice horse. It was going 7 furlongs first time out of the box, which is not an easy distance to debut. So I think all positives on Case. But the long shot I like is right next door in Secret Threat. Both of his races, he's chased lone speed. So he didn't get a chance in either race. He caught fields where nobody passed a horse. But he took a big step forward on a traditional fast dirt track. Because in his career debut, he was on a sloppy track. Now we go 2 sprints to a route. He drew the inside in both of his starts. And now he's going to move more towards the outside. And if there's any pace at all, I think this horse is going to take a big step forward and will be a little bit under the radar because a lot of money is going to fly in on Arthur's Ride and on Case and maybe Justice Department or the Pletcher first-time starter Dream Like. I'm not really high on the firsters in this race. I guess that's probably my opinion. I'm a little cold on the first-time starters. I do like the horses in here with experience. Even the 9, who I mentioned, like Toss the Last. You've got a low figure in the slop. Second start off the 3+ month break. First time Lasix. Like the last race produced 2 next out winners, and Dude in Colorado came back and ran 3rd in a stakes race last week. There's a lot of things to like about that horse who's 15-1. I'm going to use the 6, 7 with the 3 and the 9. That's sort of like how I'm stacking this race up.
I'll tell you what, if you get the 7 or the 9 home, I don't think either of them are going to take any play. You're going to get looking at stacks there. Georgie, what are you looking at here?
The first thing I did was throw away the 7 and the 9. That was the first thing I did.
Well, George, if you'd have done that last week, which you'd have been in some big trouble because we gave out a lot of winners last week. So throw them out at your own peril because mine that you throw out are 15-1. Yours are 1-5. That's the difference.
Hey.
I love you.
Some of them are 2-5.
You're right. I'm just giving you crap.
Hey, I was just giving you crap. All right. So in the first race here, I liked Castellano and Rosario, and I'm going with those 2 again. And in fact, Castellano is my top pick in the next race as well. But Case certainly looked like the goods. That was his first start. Jonathan Thomas usually does much better second time out. Ran into a buzzsaw that day. Comes back with a nice work on February 4th. To me, Case is clearly the one to beat. The 5 Union Trail, I'm just playing because I know Buckethead really well. And Buckethead is the jockey agent for Rosario. He is one of the best in the country, if not the best agent in the country. And I'm telling you what, for him to leave Arthur's Ride, as good as Arthur's Ride has looked, to go on this Union Trail for Barclay Tag, something's up there, man. Something's up. He is not stupid. He's one of the best agents in the country. And for him to leave a stud like Arthur's Ride, I'm thinking Union Trail is very, very live. So I'm going to use those 2.
That's a very good call there, and good to point out. And that's the old Barclay Tag, Saratoga Sables. We're going back a ways there with that group.
Yeah.
Skipper, I don't know if you looked at the workouts here. As Gino was talking about a couple weeks ago, when you come to breeding, you can't get better than many of these in here. You got Curlin, a couple Gun Runners, Tappet, Uncle Mo, just to name.
Dam was a grade 1 winner. Monegasque. Yeah.
Constitution.
Yeah.
These are some well-bred colts here. This is one of my singles. I love the 6. It doesn't say anything about it in the trouble lines here. Bump between, bid, inside, bumped in. This horse was hopped and squeezed at the start. Then it shoved to keep position on the turn, got in a good position, had to got in tight behind the leader, skimmed the rail, got heads up with the leader. Then they bumped a few times. Then, understandably so, got a little tired and ran a bang up second. That was a winning race to me. That's a nice Todd Pletcher that beat him that day. I love this horse. I think it should move way up in here. They came back. They breezed it 3 times, or actually 4 times. First time Lasix, and this is my single. I love Case in here.
All right, so Skipper has solved the case with his single there. I love it. So 3-1. And by the way, we were just talking, Skip, you were saying you're going to put in a little bit more of an expensive ticket, but everybody mind you out there that the average payout so far is over $4,500 for these pick fours. And as we've noticed in the past, noted in the past, they've been fairly chalky at times and are still paying out this much.
Yep.
Yes, 100%. You're absolutely right. You know, I didn't mention one other thing about Case. This horse worked with multiple winner Woofy's Dynaghost the last few works, and works heads up, if not a little bit better than Woofy's Dynaghost. And that's another reason why I like Case. But you're right. I mean, my thought is going into it, usually I'll play 2 tickets. If I have 2 singles, I'll single in 2 different spots. This one, I just think a couple of the races are more wide open. Gino thinks otherwise, and he's making good points, and maybe I'll have to rethink my ticket. But my plan going into this was 240, 280. And I decided on 280. I'm going to take 2 shots with 2 singles, and hopefully I could get, little prices on the back end and the front end. And like you say, the average payout is $4,500. This is the best bet in racing to me. This is my main bet that I focus on every Saturday and Sunday. I love it with the low takeout, the dollar bet. And if you get lucky, you're going to get paid.
And with all these high profile trainers in this race, like the Pletchers and Chad Browns, Jonathan Thomas only hitting at 28% going sprinter out. So not too shabby. All right, let's move on to the next leg. Race 4 at Santa Anita, 6.5 furlongs on the dirt. Skip, right back to you.
This is going to be another single for me. I'm taking the outside horse, Golden Spa. I love the way that this colt won last time. Off the break, and the first 3 starts, look at the lines here. Off slow, broke in, climb, bump start, bumped repeatedly, turn, check pass, half inside, trouble every time. Last time they dropped it down in class. I know they ran it for 32 first time out, but they just wanted to get the money last time. This horse was doing good. They bet it to 4 to 5. They knew it was live. It broke in nice. It settled into last place, made a nice run on the turn, got closer to the leaders on the turn. It didn't look like he really liked being on the inside. And once Hernandez kind of switched from the inside to the outside, to me, this horse took off. It finished, it blew past the winners and finished with nice big strides. I liked to gallop out. They came back with a nice breeze. And my favorite thing of all, I love the outside draw. I think this horse, 3 back, it's got a little tactical speed. It doesn't need to be that far back. It looks like there's going to be some other speed, maybe with the 1. The 5's going to maybe show some speed. And of course, the 6 will. And even the 7's got a little bit of speed. But I think the 8's going to get a great trip. 6.5 furlongs, I think, is going to do nothing but improve this horse. This is another single, and I love the price at 5 to 1.
5 to 1 and back-to-back singles for Skipper. Georgie, what are you looking at here?
So the first thing I did when handicapping race 4 at Santa Anita was I went back and threw out the 7 and the 9 from race 10 at Gulfstream. That's the way I approached the handicapping of that race. Okay, now in this race, I thought Golden Spa ran up against some tomato cans in that race. I don't like Golden Spa.
Right.
Step and Trey, and there were some bad ones in that race, so I'm not using Golden Spa, which is what makes horse racing so great.
Which is funny. I have 4 horses and I didn't have the 8 either.
Okay.
In this race. And that's just how funny it is, right? I thought the same
tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't like the 8. You don't like the 8 either, Gino?
No, look at you and me. We're together, Georgie.
I might go back and take a look at the 7 and the 9 and race
There
10
we go.
Gulfstream then.
Wait, who do you like in the next race so I can put a line right through them?
Chappie, let me ask you this. Do you like the 8?
I did. All right, to me, I got a full transparency here. I did not look at this race. Me being the host of this, I like the later part of the card at Santa Anita. So I looked at
I'm glad
many
you said that.
replays in the late
Then
pick
try to
5 at
BS.
Santa.
Thank you for saying that, then trying to BS it instead. Right?
Yeah.
That, like, just don't try to fake it. When someone's trying to fake it and you can tell they haven't, that's the worst thing in the world.
Well, yeah, I mean, because you're right. I can't. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even. I started. There's certain types of races I like and don't like, and my sequence seemed to be the late pick 5 at Santa Anita. And since I'm the host here today, I don't have to give any plays out. Usually, I will go through the whole card. I'm still about 82%, so I don't have enough energy to go through the whole card, to be honest with you.
Carrying the piano on the back still right now. But we got to give Skippy a shout out because Crowning Gold was the good race for him a few weeks back. That was the race that killed me. If Crowning Gold wins, I have a massive day. Skippy had the horse who runs Crowning Gold down that day. And I think, again, looking at this race, I don't think there's that much speed in here because I sort of think he is the whole key to this race. Are they going to try to sit a little bit more at 6.5 furlongs because they got they got run down last time out at 6? Because if he just decides to sit off a little bit, that opens the race up for the 1. This horse is pretty fast down there, I'm telling you. And if you're using this race as a race to spread out, Black Magician was in front of Crowning Gold on January the 21st. He was on the lead. He drew post 10, and he just couldn't cross over. But he caught the flyer out of the gate, and he was right there. If he catches that flyer out of the gate again from the rail, he's in front, and he just goes on with it. So I'm throwing the 1 in. I'm throwing the 6 in, Crowning Gold on the cutback. I think those are the 2 speed horses. Army Star kind of got an in-between trip. I think he'll get a little bit better of a trip in here. The horse to me that's the most intriguing is the 2 Crypto Ride. Again, I'll give Skip another shout out. There will be times like this where I don't see the race at all with him, but when he's right and I'm wrong, I'll come back and say, Skip, I did not like Thirsty John at all on January 7th. That was a horse that had not run since May, and the only time Thirsty John had run was going 4.5 furlongs, and he stretched all the way out to 1 mile and a 16th, and he won the Cal Cup Derby. Now, on speed figures and stuff, it wasn't like overwhelmingly fast, but I think that Thirsty John is a pretty nice horse for being able to do that. And we talk about the types of cutbacks that we love. I like this cutback with Crypto Ride, going from showing a little bit of positional speed at 1 mile and 1 mile and a 16th. Now you cut back to the elongated sprint of 6.5. I think if some of these horses get a little tired, this is going to be one of the fitter horses in this race. So 2's definitely on my ticket as well.
Georgie, go back to you. What were the ones you were using? I think we kind of got all over the place there.
Gino cut me off. Gino cut me right off, man.
Oh. I muted your mic. I started producing the show.
And here I have to unfortunately agree with Gino because my top pick and probably a single for me is going to be number 2, Crypto Ride. So I like Crypto Ride. His last 2 got the best thoroughgraph numbers. Both of them were stellar. Cuts back, gets first time Lasix. Rispoli almost won with him at 50-1. So he certainly knows him. And I like these tactical speed going 2 turns and cutting back to an elongated sprint at 6.5. So Crypto Ride is going to be my top pick, and probably is the only single along the whole way for me will be Crypto Ride.
Georgie, what were the numbers on Golden Spa's last race?
He's running 24, 18, 13, and Crypto Ride was an 8 and 11. So I mean, they weren't very fast. The Golden Spa.
So his last race was the 14?
13.
That's good enough for me. He's going to improve. He's going to improve on that number.
He's going to have to improve.
By the way, if you can't make it out to Santa Anita this weekend, George will be filming his HBO stand-up comedy special at the Ice House next Friday night. All right, let's move on. Please, let's move on. Gulfstream 11th. the Gulfstream Park Turf Sprint. And who do we start with this time? Skipper?
Okay, this is one of my spread races again. There's some win machines in here. The threes won 10 out of 45 races. The fours run 10 out of 29. The fives won 10 out of 24. I'm using all those horses, but I'm also going to use the two. Staffy Jofas claimed this horse for $80,000. He tries it in the Mr. Prospector, way over his head. This horse likes the grass. Now he drops it to a 5 furlong sprint on the grass. I think this horse has got a big shot in here at 8-1. That horse is going to be on my ticket. But the long shots that I like, and I think this is prime for a long shot race. There's a lot of speed in here. And when they go 5 furlongs on the turf at Gulfstream, they're running. Everybody's trying to make the lead. And then crazy horses come late and tag them at the end. My long shots are the outside 3. Shaky Shabazz, the 8 at 15-1. This horse likes to win also. 6 out of 32 with 11 seconds. It's won on the Gulfstream Park grass. And for the distance, it's won 3 out of 15. The critical way, coming off a break, but this horse has won 10 out of 32. Delgado does a great job. The distance, 20 starts, 7 wins. And then my other long shot is at 10. Classic State of Mind. They're putting the blinkers on this horse first time out, or this time it's coming off that break. Throw that race out. His head was turned at the start. He was 4 wide. I know he was 65-1 that day, but throw that race out and look at his other races on the Gulfstream Park grass. He's had 5 starts, 3 wins, 7 starts at the distance, 3 wins. Those are my 3 long shots. So I'm going to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. And that's going to be my $280 coast to coast pick 5.
All right, Georgie. So Skippy is spreading, hoping for some chaos here in the last leg. What are you thinking here in the sprint stake?
So I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, and my top pick is the 8 that Skippy likes. Shaky Shabazz. This guy's ultra consistent. He just hasn't won in a couple of years. But hey, I haven't won in a couple of years either at the racetrack, and I'm still going at it. And so Shaky Shabazz.
Can we get the dunch for Georgie?
We're gonna have to get some sound effects in here with George's comedy.
I want to go out and have a drink with George tonight. He's in good form.
He is.
Yeah.
But Shaky Shabazz,
Your waitresses, he'll be here all week.
He has some of the best thoroughgraph numbers in the race and consistently runs good numbers. He just hasn't been able to break through with a win, but he's been knocking on the door. I think that door can open wide, especially since the layoff and coming over from Canada. Look at the workouts. This horse usually doesn't work that fast, and he's got a bullet after bullet after bullet. I haven't seen any of those workouts, but they're a bullet after bullet after bullet. And so I think he's going to shoot him down. Castellano, I'm on him. That's my T-shirt today. I got the T-shirt. Today's the Castellano T-shirt, and he's my top pick.
All right, Georgie. I think he just likes the name Shaky Shabazz. What do you look at here, Gino?
I absolutely love a horse in here. So the 1's going to go Rocket Crest. The 2's going to go County Final is going to be forwardly placed. The 4 Caratori has to be right there. 5's going to be close. 6, My Pal Maddie's going to go. Full disclosure is fast. Shaky Shabazz going to can pass a little bit, but as George said, doesn't win. The critical way in Classic State of Mind, those horses don't pass. That's the only problem, is so many of these horses don't pass horses. Now, you know who does? And it looks a little bit sneaky because he went to the lead in his last race. The 5, Yes I Am Free. This is a horse who won this race last year. He beat Belgrano, doing exactly what I'm hoping he can do, sitting just off the pace. Look at his pattern of races. From last year, he wins the Gulfstream Park Turk Sprint on February the 12th. He comes back and wins following it again, beating Belgrano in back-to-back races. So it wasn't just a fluke. And then after that, he has a couple months off. He shows up at Monmouth on May the 22nd on a good turf course. And look at the way that race shaped up. The critical way absolutely freaked that day. He went wire to wire, ran them right off their feet. He earned 102 Beyer speed figure in doing so. He has not come back and run anything close to that race. He freaked. It was just like a weird turf course that day. And then following that, Yes, I Am Free is on the synthetic that he doesn't like. He's off the bench for 6 months. He shows back up in his last start, which is a really nice prep. He goes wire to wire, and we know he can sit off the pace and get the jump on Belgrano that he's shown us multiple times. I think he's the horse that's sitting second and third, carving it out right behind the leaders and falls right into it. So Yes, I Am Free. It's great because George went 5 deep and didn't use that horse. So we got to go right up against each other at the end again right here to finish things off. So love it.
I think at the end of the year, we might have like a boxing match between George and Gino in the infield at Santa Anita on closing day. Rock 'em, stock 'em between those two. And Yes, I Am Free. 7 wins and 14 starts at the Gulfstream Park turf course. All right, so we went through. We had plenty of differing opinions. Let's get to Go ahead,
Real
Skipper.
quick, I just want to bring it up. I mean, look at the ages of these horses in the last race. You want to talk about some old-time warriors too. The 3 is 9-1. The 4 is 7-1. The 5 is 7-1.
4 years old.
Yeah, years old. The 8 is 8 years old. The 9 is 9 years old. I mean, you want to talk about some old warriors here that are still going and still winning and making money, and I love seeing that.
Congratulations.
You know, you can tell you're a gambler when Skip, somebody will ask him this week, Skip, what's your birthday? Well, this week I'm going to turn 54-1.
You're right. I do it at the gas station all the time. 20 to win on the 4. I do it all the time when I go to put my money in at the gas, and the guy's like, 20 to win on the 4. What are you talking about? You know, but I mean, at least worth mentioning, like Skip and Georgie both tossed out Belgrano and Caratori. I mean, they're logical. Like Caratori is honest. Caratori really always shows up in these races and can sit a little bit too, if need be. But shout out to all the connections, just piggybacking what Skip was saying. It's tough to keep a horse together to 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And what we see in this division, nobody says right off the bat, my horse is going to be a turf sprinter, right? You don't say that. You want your horse to win the Kentucky Derby and be ready for that. But you find your niche. You know, it's not linear. Most of these horses didn't immediately just start sprinting on the turf. It took them a while, went a little longer, tried the dirt, and then all of a sudden it's like, this is home. And they are horses that have 10 wins, a bunch of them, you know, lots of win machines. So a cool way to finish up the coast to coast pick 5 here.
Yeah.
How cool are horses when they're 7, 8, 9 years old? Obviously, they're geldings, and they're still running this well in stake competition, not just, you know, the old warrior claimers that go back and forth to different barns. Kind of amazing. All right, let's go best bets of the day, and it can be anywhere, any race, anytime, or you can keep it in this pick 5 sequence. So, Gino, start with you.
Let's go one more. Let's go a different horse later on the Saturday card, and we'll go. It's football this weekend. Let's throw a big one downfield for a long shot to include some
Santa Anita.
Santa Anita. We're gonna go to race number 9. It's the Sweet Life, 6.5 furlongs down the hill. You know, it's a pretty evenly matched group, honestly. If you're looking at like speed figures and like how. Whatever metrics you use, you know, probably sheet numbers and stuff like that. So I don't think even the biggest long shots are all that far out of it. And that sort of draws me to the 5, Pleasant Wave. I think this horse fits pretty well in here. So in her career debut, she's not bad. She's only beaten a couple lengths. She's behind Ragtime Rose, going 6 on the turf. Then in her second start, she comes right back. She breaks her maiden. She shows some improvement. Following that, they take a shot. Let's go long. Let's throw in her stakes race. Let's see what she can do. Well, she didn't want to go long. She was a little bit wide. It was on a good turf course. Remember all the rain we were getting around at that time. So lots of reasons why you can just put a line right through that last race. If you're playing her off her second race and just hoping for a little bit of improvement right there, she would not have to step forward much to be right in the mix with this group at 20-1. I know George will tell you about the jock change that he loves on Pleasant Wave because his best buddy Mario isn't aboard anymore. But Kimura jumps on, and I think Pleasant Wave fits. I love that cutback from the mile, showing a little bit of positional speed down the hill in a race where it's probably a spread out race. I want to use a big bomb like that. So I'm throwing in the 5 Pleasant Wave, who's 20-1 on the morning line.
20-1 on the morning line, race 9 at Santa Anita. Skipper, I'm just going to get your opinion on this race real quick. I know we've always been big fans of Ragtime Rose. Are you using that in this race? I've got another horse I like pretty well in here.
You know, I like Manhattan Jungle a lot. I think Manhattan Jungle is going to love coming down the hill. I love that Frankie Dettori's jumping aboard. That's who I like a lot in there. On one ticket, I will include Ragtime Rose, and I'll put Pleasant Wave since Gino likes that horse a lot. But I love the 4 in here. I think it's going to, the distance is going to be perfect. I think it's going to love that downhill course, and Michael McCarthy's been on fire lately. And Frankie Dettori, I met him on Saturday at the track. Great guy, and I think he's going to win.
Manhattan Jungle will certainly the horse to beat. I think another interesting horse in there is the 8 Excelia for Phil D'Amato, who's getting hot once again. If you notice, this horse routed twice. Last time down the hill, if you go back and watch the replay, the horse before the dirt and crossing the dirt was just sitting, waiting, had nowhere to go, kind of dove down to the inside, was kind of pinned up against the rail and had to wait again, and then went, and then Fun Money was right on the outside. That was kind of when D'Amato was also in his cold streak. He's getting hot once again, I think, drawn outside, down the hill again. I think this horse is going to move way forward in here. I think Sully's got a huge shot. Gino, you gave your best. Oh, Gino, yeah, you gave your best play. You're 20-1.
Yeah, we've got Richard Pryor to finish us up over there.
Yeah, and Skipper then, right? Georgie, best bet of the day.
Well, yeah. I mean, I want to make a comment that I think Pleasant Wave, a very positive jockey switch when they named Kimura. But I also think it would have been a positive jockey switch if they named Leo Vuk. I think it still would have been a positive jockey change there. All right. You have to know Leo Vuk. But my best bet of the day comes in the El Camino Derby. The El Camino, one of my favorite races for years and years. And, Bob Baffert's got a couple in there, probably going to get a lot of money. But I really like Harsin, number 5. It's race number 8 at Golden Gate. Harsin, the dam got Giacomo, got Tiago, is undefeated. 2 sprints, stretching out to a distance of ground. I think that Harsin at 5-1. I love this runner. So that's going to be my best bet anywhere in the country at 5-1 in the El Camino Real Derby, number 5, Harsin.
Only problem with that, though, is that in that same race, you got Gilmore trying to win that Tour Championship, that gold jacket, right? Gold jacket, green jacket, little Happy Gilmore down there.
Who gives a
whoa? Yeah, I think that's the other horse, Georgie. If they go too fast, I think that's the one that sits down there trying to win the gold jacket at Golden Gate. Gilmore, right there. There you go.
Happy Gilmore against Carson. Skipper, your best bet of the day?
My best bet is going to go to Gulfstream Park. I'm going with Case. It's 3-1. I'm not sold on the firsters. I think they might need a race. And I think Arthur's Ride is, it's coming off a break since September. I love Case's last race. I love the way that this horse has been working since. At 3-1, Case in race 10 at Gulfstream Park's my best bet of the day.
All right. Case is the place to be. That's his single there. And I'm going to go back in an interesting race 8 at Santa Anita, which is wide open. I know Murray will get bet. Spearmint can get bet. The horse I'm going to take a hard look at, is the 7 Anarchist. If you go back and watch that replay off of a long layoff, that horse was absolutely bottled up and dove down to the inside and galloped out huge. Now second off the layoff, Frankie Dettori takes over, drawn outside of all the speed over there. And I think Anarchist has got a big look in a very tough race at 8-1. So
next door, there's a live one also, Chappie, which I named I Got No Money. Keep an eye on that one if you're playing any multi-race exotics. That's a horse who's getting a little class relief, is going to put 2 starts together off a long layoff, has run some really good races at Santa Anita, and he has a pretty good A game too. So I Got No Money. I could use some, Georgie. Maybe George Lopez over here can give me some of the money from his tour dates that he's got coming up.
George,
Hey, guys.
Go ahead, Skip.
Well, go ahead. When you're done, I want to say so.
I was going to talk about George's comedy career, so go ahead.
No, I just was going to. What's your guys' opinion on the Super Bowl? We got Super Bowl Sunday. Who do you guys like?
I'm betting Philadelphia. All my money on Philadelphia.
You know, this is the first time in Mahomes has played 13 playoff games. He's never been an underdog.
Yeah.
13
wow.
games. This is the first time. He's 10-3 in the playoff games so far. The Chiefs have not been an underdog at a closing line in their last 15 playoff games that they've played. So it's sort of weird to see plus money on the Chiefs. They're bad when they're like laying points, but Mahomes is 7-1-1 straight up as an underdog in his career. And I think he's 6-3 against the spread as an underdog in his career. Should be a fantastic game. I think just because of that, I'm leaning that way. One fun prop that I like, will there be more than 2 players? It's over 2.5 players to throw a pass, if you can find that somewhere. Because nobody likes rooting for injury, but if either guy gets hurt, automatically the backup comes in and there's a third person throwing a pass. And if you look through the team's rosters between McKinnon, Kelsey, Townsend, AJ Brown, there's like 8 different players that have attempted a pass at some point. If there's a fake field goal or a fake punt, those also count as passes being attempted. So that's kind of a fun one. I think last game of the year, you're not holding anything back now. If you've got any kind of cute, creative plays, we see them all the time. Last year in the Super Bowl, we saw it. We've seen Kansas City do it this year. Again, they get a little cute and creative. So if you can find that prop somewhere, that's one that I like.
Andy Reid is not afraid to put a wrinkle in there. That's for sure.
No.
And I have no opinion whatsoever. I mean, if I would play, which I wouldn't touch this game with a 10-foot pole, I would probably play the Chiefs only because it seems like most of the world is on Philadelphia. That's no other reason than that.
Matchup as far as like number 1 offense in the AFC, number 1 offense in the NFC. These were the top 2 teams in the league in sacks, the top 2 scoring offenses. And then you've got Philly, who you would have a hard time finding a weakness on the Eagles roster overall. Right. Their offensive line, their defensive line, their best secondary in the league, their wide receivers group is excellent. They have a good running game. But all of that, then you've got the best player in the world on the other side, right? So it's the best team or the best guy who can kind of carry you. What's your thought, Skippy?
And the AFC is better than the NFC overall. Maybe that's the only other angle,
Right. I think it's going to be a great game. I don't know which way to go. I mean, let's be serious. If Mahomes doesn't have that ankle injury, there's no way that they're underdogs. They're going to be favored, at least 1.5. I think it's the opposite way. I think that's got so many people's opinions, and he can't move to his left or throw from his right. I mean, it's just, I don't know. And then, you got Hurts' shoulder. So there's question marks on both sides, and both defenses are good. I think they're going to put points up. If I was going to do anything, I think it's going to go over in this game. I think, it doesn't seem like it with the injuries and with the defenses, but I think both teams will score. Like you say, I think there's going to be some trick plays. Andy Reid, there's nobody better than him, giving him 2 weeks or off the break. And Sirianni, I mean, he ended up getting let go by Andy Reid at Kansas City. So
he's got a little something up his sleeve, I'm sure, too, right? A little taste in his mouth. Yeah.
So there's a lot of things, and I think they're going to put points. I'm just hoping it's a good game, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I really think that the line is why I like Philly so much. Vegas is just they're great. Vegas is not stupid, and Jalen Hurts, does he have cachet? Is he sexy? No, but obviously Kansas City and Mahomes, everybody likes him. So for him, on a day where a lot of people are betting that really don't bet ever, to not be the favorite, I'm thinking that Vegas knows that Philly's going to win, because all the people who really are just for betting on big names. Mahomes is a big names, not Jalen Hurts, and I think Philly's going to crush him.
I think the public is on Philadelphia because the narrative of Mahomes hurt and the injuries to the wide receiving core for Kansas City. And go ahead, Gino.
One of my last things before we finish up here, Philly and San Francisco, who played last week. Whatever metrics you were looking at, those two teams were dead last and second to last in strength of schedule this year. Both Philly and San Francisco played the softest schedule. And I kept picking on San Francisco on your guys' show. Every week I was picking on them because for that reason, I kept saying they're going to step up in class. They're going to face a team that they have not faced. If you look at who Philadelphia has played recently, this is the last string of quarterbacks that they have faced. Last week, Brock Purdy and Josh Johnson.
And Christian McCaffrey.
2 weeks ago, Daniel Jones. The week before that, Davis Webb. The week before that, Andy Dalton. The week before that, Dak Prescott. The week before that, Justin Fields. Who throws the ball even remotely close like Patrick Mahomes of any of those guys? That's where it's kind of fun because you can go back and forth like this. Philly's got a defense, but who have they played?
Yeah.
In comparison. So
But like you said, Philly is so talented at every position. It's amazing. I mean, there's no weakness, but they haven't played a tough schedule. I have no idea.
I'm just hoping it's going to be a good game, and I'm hoping there's a lot of points to make it exciting. And I'm looking forward to watching it. But I don't have a strong opinion either way.
And George, you can final word because you've been the funniest man on earth today.
Yeah.
In handicapping the Super Bowl, what I did was I went to Gulfstream Park and threw away the 7 and the 9.
Yeah.
Hey, Georgie, what were the numbers on Kansas City's last playoff game?
Yeah, you got good thoroughgraph numbers.
All right. Well, anyways, it should be a terrific weekend. Everybody, let's hope the Super Bowl is a great game. And better yet, let's hope everyone comes home a winner in the Coast to Coast Pick 5. Yes. We're all over the board today, but that's the way we handicap and the way they run the races. So good luck to everybody. Thanks, guys. And we'll see you next week.
Good luck, everybody. Have a great weekend.